All right, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Going live on here. All right, peace and welcome everyone to episode 5 of Parlez with Sensei Shui. My dog. This is Tamara, or I like to call it Ta. Gonna be in the way, but it's okay. We all got love for each other. So today, I'll be right back. I had some questions that I now, and I need to go get that. So I'll be right back. Can you not knock everything over, please? All right, in or out? Okay, out. All right. I guess she chose to be in. All right. What's good, Jamal? So today's Parlez with Sensei Shui, episode 5, the podcast. Today we're talking about like the quantum and the very, very small. So going to be talking about time travel, double slit experiment, different things like that. So if you have questions, please ask below and I'll get to it to keep the conversation rolling. Just to start, last week I got a question really late after the show was over that said, what is your perspective on time travel? And before I get into that deeply, I want to first cover the double slit experiment. So that way people can understand what I'm talking about, or when I refer to it, it's like, okay, I kind of get it. But just like anything, you want to make sure that you do your own research. Don't just take my word for it. Do your own research and build that mind, your knowledge, your wisdom for yourself. So basically the double slit experiment, what it was is physicists got these particles and they were shooting them through a cannon. And when they weren't looking at the cannon, all the particles were having just this random effect. They would just show up everywhere else. But once they looked at it, it went through these double slits. So literally it's double slits because it's like one little cut, two little cuts. So say my knees, two cuts. All right, YouTube, y'all can't see it. But the two little cuts, it would go in straight lines upon observation. When not observed, it would just go random in all these random spots all over the place. So for this, there's a few different interpretations of this phenomena. So one is the Copenhagen interpretation. So when they were saying all paths are equally likely to occur. So when these particles were observed and their behavior changed, someone was just like, oh, well, it's just a part of mathematics and physics. This just happens. Nothing's random. There's no other type of phenomena. Another one, Rovelli, the way he interpreted this was that consciousness itself influenced reality. So when these particles were observed, that's when they started behaving like the way they're supposed to. And then there's the many worlds interpretation. The many worlds interpretation goes like, if you ever see the movie Devs, or not the movie, the series Devs that's on Hulu, I encourage you to watch it. No, you're going to be in or out. You chose to be in. So that's my dog in the background. And so the many worlds theory, I encourage you to check out the movie Devs, or the series Devs on Hulu. It talks about this and goes into it. Yeah, it's a little freaky. But the many worlds theory basically says there's many worlds or many dimensions occurring at the same time. And the reason that these particles are going all over the place when not observed and when observed are because, hey, everything's happening at the same time. And because these are quantum, aka the really, 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 really small, like smaller than an atom, once we're able to see all these possibilities for it. That's one interpretation of the many worlds. And then there's I'm probably butchering this, the de Broglie-Bohm theories that says particles have a precise location at all times. So that way, that interpretation is more saying, okay, when they were going random, and then when they're going in here, particles are located everywhere at the same time. There are many places at once. Almost, I would call this a multidimensional theory. That's like, oh, we're occurring more many spaces at once. I'm just kind of going through the basics of this, but essentially, personally, how I interpret it is a combination of a few. I would combine Rovelli with the many worlds, saying that consciousness does have an effect on reality. I've experienced this firsthand in meditation. I'll get into that in a second. And in two, that many worlds, that there's many worlds going on, many dimensions, whatever you want to call it, occurring at one time. And then some of it's just bleeding over, and then we could see this occur. And so just to be like, wait, you're saying you experienced your consciousness actually changing something of an object? Yes, I have. So it was actually one time I was in near Idaho Springs, and I went up to the mountain. I was fasted, so I didn't have any type of drugs or nothing in my system. It was just maybe 24, 36 hours, nothing crazy. Just drinking water. And then I was by this river, and then I was just meditating by the river, and it just called out to me because this was on the side of the highway, and I just walked down. There was no one around me, and then I decide to sit here, and I'm just gazing at the water. I'm gazing at the water and gazing at the water. And then the next thing I knew, everything starts dematerializing. Like the trees are just like, they feel like they're going into themselves. Everything just becomes super wavy. Again, I'm in a sober state doing this. I'm just meditating. And everything just gets super wavy. If you've ever taken any type of psychedelic, I experienced that in a sober state of mind. And everything was just changing and like going in and out of stuff, coalescing in and out of existence. And then the second in my mind, I was like, whoa, this is really cool. Everything just snapped back to normal. And I was able to get back into the state about 3 or 4 more times before I ended my session. But since then, I was on a spiritual journey for about 2 years before that. But once that happened, I experienced reality changing before my eyes in a sober state. I was like, okay, what these mystics are talking about is real. It's like truly real. Reality is not what you think it is. It has nothing, like reality is truly stranger than fiction. They want you to think that all the rules are very concrete, but in itself, a concrete way of thinking will create a concrete version of reality. To go into the questions, let me see if it's still in my question bank. No, it's not. But the first question that I had was, what are your perspectives on time travel? So first off, when I want to say my perspectives of time travel, I'm going to say grow your mind and your expansion past time travel being that this physical body travels back in time and I visit and I interact with people. I'm not going to really get into that today, but I'm more going to talk about time travel in the way of your consciousness going back in time and experiencing phenomena. This happened to me once when I was in Atlanta, and I will say I did time travel. I went outside. This is at like 2 or 3 o'clock at night, and I went outside and I was looking at this wall of graffiti. It just had all this graffiti on it, and I was just gazing at it and staring at it. And then I just went into this state. Like I call it the mystic state of consciousness. I don't even know what to do with it. It's just like I don't have any emotions. It's just like everything kind of goes flat. And I just feel everything moving without me. And the wall starts to like warp and it gets really, really weird. And I'm just kind of sitting there knowing like, okay, I'm not going to react to this. I'm not going to react to this. I'm not going to, and just keep watching it. And then the next thing I know, I could see like the painters, like the thing is to be clear. This isn't in like, oh, like you could see me. This is say like, if you've ever edited something and you put 10% opacity up, this is what I witnessed. Right. And then I saw like the paintings and the way they were painting, and I could smell the paint. Like I could smell the paint smell. Like this is like literally outside, I could smell the paint smell when I was in Atlanta. And they were like, as I was going back in time and seeing the construction of this masterpiece in front of me. And then this lasted for about maybe 2 or 3, I don't even know. It felt like hours, but it was probably just maybe like 10 minutes. And then I came out the state when someone came out the door and was like, hey man, are you okay? And then I was like, what's going on? And then I go and walk inside, and then I just feel so detached from everything. It's like I see all these people moving and they're doing their thing, and I'm just like, what is this? Like none of this stuff is real. Like, when they say, when Shakespeare says, oh, we're just, life is a play and we are merely actors, it really felt like, oh shit, like this stuff's real. Like I saw this in action. I went back and I was just checking out something in the past and it bled over, because to go into like, how is that even possible? How is it even possible? Like, let me explain, like, not just be like, oh yeah, you believe no, if you know me, I like to explain this stuff and put some type of reasoning. So that way it could be like, so you can achieve this as well. So most of this, I would say it's possible because the studies I've been doing underneath Higher Balance Institute, they help give me that roadmap of my consciousness and the abilities to be able to like navigate and have that discipline to not like think and babble. They use the word babble, or the words that you hear in your head, like to be able to separate that And I won't even say like not even pay attention or attach to it, because that's that core that keeps you in this time space. That's that core that keeps you in this dimension. That's that core that keeps you rooted here and like, oh, you're smelling and you're moving, you're doing all that stuff. So first, it was my ability to separate from that temporarily. Let me say again, it's not like a, oh, forever. It's like a, okay, to be able to let it go. All right, blah, 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 let it go. And then you do it enough and you get better, just like push-ups, right? If you can only do 10 and your goal is 100, you keep doing 10, you do that 11, then you do 20, oh, and then I get 13, and then you build up with time, because consistency is key. But I would say this is possible because at the end of the day, your mind, like think about it, when you're going back in time and you have your memories and you could close your eyes and you see it as vivid and all this data comes through. Again, I'm going to get into the Akashic records. A lot of this stuff, I'm working with a past life regressionist, and if you look up Dolores Cannon, look her up. A lot of them, what they say is when you hear the word Gaia mind, you hear the word matrix, you hear the word Akashic records. I'm going to get into all that because the M word, that gets a lot of people like, wait, what are you talking about? Like when I hear people say break the matrix, I'm like, all right, I know what you're saying, but like that doesn't make any logic at all. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like you're gonna, because if anything, matrix is a word to describe something larger than what's going on. It's like when they're like, oh, the matrix is thing, you got to get a job and you got to go to college. It's like, no, that's you're not thinking large enough. What the matrix is this fabric of reality, make you think like this is a solid object. It's to make everything materialize. It's merely what a matrix is. It's like that word, like look up what it is. It's some type of creation that's within another aspect of creation. So when you're in like a dream world and you're saying you're in your mind, that's a matrix of your mind that's within it. So likewise, when you're going in back in time or whatever, because at the end of the day, time doesn't really exist. It's something that we experience, right? Time is relative to everything else. Time is super relational. If you said it felt like 10 minutes and someone said it felt like an hour, who's really wrong? Okay, you're going to look at a clock and it was agreed upon, but what did it feel like? You need to learn how to trust your feelings on these things. And so to get into like, how is this possible? What does it even mean? Okay, because when you're going back and you have these sessions with these regressionists, what every single past life regressionist will tell you is like, hey, it's not like you're going in past lives. What they're going into this larger database. All right, because if you've heard of the Akashic records back from the Egyptian times, right? Now you hear called the Gaia mind or the Matrix. All right, I'm just calling them all the same thing, just to be like, okay, this is a database of all human consciousness, all human experiences. What I will say is like what happens when people die, a part of your like the data that was something, because again, we're a part of the earth. Like this is like made of, stardust. Yeah. But if you want to say it's made of like carbon, phosphorus, magnesium, blah, 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 same stuff the dirt's made of, right? But that database goes to the Gaia mind. For people who've done ayahuasca and stuff, you're sampling into the Gaia mind. Other stuff, you're remember the Gaia mind, the earth is all one living organism, right? The earth is a living organism, and that is a database of which that we get stuff. Love, Steve. Yep. And so that's the database which we're connected to. And when you're going back and you have these past life memories, right? Yeah, well, I'll bring you in a little bit, Steve. I feel like you could really you could really actually contribute to this. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and Chris to be in your life. I'm gonna go ahead and bring Steve in with this. Yeah, because he's the man. He's the man. All right. I'll see how this works out. This is my first time doing this, just kind of going out of nowhere. Hey, what's up, Steve? Okay, buffering. All right. We'll see how this works out. Hey, what's up? Can you hear me? What's up, man?
Dude, this is my first live video I've ever done.
Yeah, man. And the buffering, I could tell. So like while the buffers and it gets in, I'm gonna still going. So how are you doing? Everything going?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to see you. I love you, man.
Yeah, love you too, brother.
You're very special, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm talking about like what I was just talking about was like, say, the Gaia mind or the earth, that she's a living thing. Because for those watching and listening, Steve, he's really helped me with my garden. He's like, yeah, you do these different things with your plants, and they'll listen to you. You need to listen to it. It's intuitive. These things have consciousness. They're not just something there. We're all connected. This is all interconnectedness, that we're all a part of. So even when I was talking about like time travel stuff, you go back and you have these memories or these past life regressions. It's like you're going back into this database of the planet, and you're like, oh, for lack of a better term, it's like this huge thing like, oh, of all these DVDs or VHSs, and you're going back, it's like, okay, I'm going to take one and I'm going to play it and I'm going to watch it. And this is the experience I have. Just like, back Akashic Records before any of this stuff. It's all, I like to say it's all the same thing. It's just that, before DVDs existed 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, people have this phenomenon. Okay, it's this place with all these bookshelves. And then in there's like all this stuff. They're explaining the same type of phenomena, like how these things are possible. Because because I was talking about earlier how I had this experience of when I was in Atlanta of kind of like going back in time, where I was literally looking at a wall, and then like it was like a graffiti and stuff on a wall, and then I just got wind to the state looking at it, and next thing I know, I could like see the layers being painted, I could smell the paint, and it was like, it was super intense. But I was just like, okay, how is this possible? How am I doing this? And it was just like, and it was just me kind of being in a meditative state. Also, it was like 2, 3 in the morning. So times like that are like really good for like other type of phenomena. Like it's really good times, in those early mornings, they're really great times if you're want to do other types of meditation that aren't just like being chill. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Sweet, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so I only had like 2 or 3 questions for this. So I was like, do you have anything you want me to like kind of go off about or or anything?
Do I? Man, not really. This is my first one ever to do. So
Yeah.
So how many other? Are there a lot of other people on here right now?
I think it's about 2 other people. It's my friend Jamal, and I'm not sure about the other. But for the replay, for me, this is more about like doing it every single week. Like this is more about like, okay, consistency and, being like, practice what I teach. I don't like the P word, because I feel like preaching is you tell someone to do, and then they don't actually do it. They just like, oh yeah, so you do this, this, and this. But it's like, I like to talk about, you live by your word, you do what you say. And so for me, it's like, all right, let me stop everything I'm doing and do this Monday. So that way, every Monday I can at least come on, record this, and then have it as a bank to go up. So that way it's something to refer to. And that way, say when it comes to episode, 30 in December, I could be like, yeah, check back episode 2. And I was talking about, and then it's like a consistency thing, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Man, dude, so how's the garden doing? Good?
Oh, it's doing amazing. So the garden is like, especially the herb permaculture garden. Thank you for that recommendation, because that is just like, that's blowing up and it's doing really well. I could tell it really likes it. And especially the squash, I got to send you a picture of that. Actually, it's like, it's vibrant. It's like so alive and everything. Just had a few issues with caterpillars with the eggplant, but like other than that, everything's doing very, very well. Very, very well.
Yeah, it'll happen with your squash and everything. Now, what was I going to say? Oh, I just forgot what I was going to say. So now your goji berry, you know that sucker is going to be about 10 feet tall. You know that?
Yeah.
You might want to transplant that directly into your soil.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm not sure if you want to do that. You can keep it there, but you can also transplant that out, and then so it can spread into your I don't know if there's somewhere in your backyard that you want it to spread, but that thing will get about 10 feet tall. It'll fall over and stuff, but you may want to move it. I don't know, but you may not.
Okay.
You might have a place for it, but you can also move that to somewhere in your yard where it can spread even more.
Okay, thanks. Because we're actually on the sides. We're going to do raised beds and gardens, and we found out in the back we have wild blackberries coming in. So it's a ton of them.
Those are berries.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got 20 acres of those at my farm.
Nice.
Yeah, and I just found some cold hardy mandarins that I could plant at my farm. They're called I forgot the variety, but I just found them today, dude. And I can also before I couldn't plant any kind of citrus at my farm.
Yeah.
But I just found that I can at my planting zone 8, and I can get an avocado tree too.
Nice.
So excited, man.
Nice.
So I've been planting mulberries, goji berries, pomegranates, all kinds of fruits. I've been planting all kinds of stuff on my farm. It's rough. So
yeah.
excited, dude. Man, it is